about these resources, you can actually go about looking at these resources and reading through them and understanding exactly how the scholars have studied. Also, what's important in a literature review is to see that you refer to certain strong works that are there, the meaningful works that have contributed for a very long time. Now, a lot of times it is said that it does not make a difference from where the research scholar or the research work really comes. Yes, it is true. If you're referring to a publication which comes from international agencies like the World Bank or like the ADB or like the others, which might be like the OECD or the others, the meaning of the research scholar from where he comes will not make a difference. But when you look at publications which are usually coming from developing agencies or developing countries, they carry a little lower value in terms of the contributions they make to the literature review. So a lot of people prefer that you actually get scholars from the US or the UK, publications based in US or UK or in Europe to actually bring about the necessary and necessary support to your research work. It's not that people from Africa or people from India or people from China or people from Japan or from people from other places don't bring about research output or their research output is not recognized. It is recognized. But it is a fact that when experts are evaluating, they give more and more value to the Western publications that have actually, been ranked in ABDC or in Scopus or in Web of Sciences, and many developing economies publications and many of the journals don't reach that standards. And that is why when you actually quote studies which may be based in Africa, which may be based in India, which may be based in certain other places, they carry a little lesser value than the others. But again, they carry a value if you're actually specifically doing a research in India. If you're doing a research in India, then you need to refer to the scholarly works done in India. If you're referring to a work done in Africa, you need to refer to the scholarly works done in Africa. If you're referring to a work done in China, then you need to refer to the work done in China. So one has to be very critically analyzing and bringing about a comprehensive analysis of the literature review. And let me tell you, people are fully aware how you have picked up a literature review. So it's very easy when you're actually picking up a literature review and making a comprehensive gesture of that to actually put the abstracts there and then writing the connotations. Another mistake that most people do is in terms of citing the particular literature. So what would usually would be observed in research papers as well as in research grant proposals is that you write the entire titles and you write the entire names when the literature review is supposed to be done, which is not the particular process. It's very important that you guidelines as to how do you really quote your works of many scholars who have done. So let's say, for example, surnames have to be used for any particular thing, and then the particular year has to be bracketed, and then you say that this author evidenced this particular thing and did not evidence this particular thing. Again, it's important that what you provide in the literature review, you would corroborate it with your findings. Very important, because when if you don't corroborate with your findings, that literature review does not carry many meanings. If you read through journals like Journal of Finance, you read through journals, many others, or where research publications are found or research grants are applied for, they would actually seek which scholarly works have you referred, which then translate into your research work. So just by putting the literature review will not serve the purpose. It will serve a purpose if it corroborates with your works and your objectives. Then once you have actually identified the literature review, one also needs to identify the research gaps that is there, which you're wanting to address while you're trying to undertake the research, and you are trying to convince the sponsoring agency to give you the sponsored work. So again, research works gaps which you are trying to identify. Many people do that. Okay, this study was done in US, I'm going to do it in India. So they'll ask you, okay, why do you want to do it in India? Does the journalization make a difference? You will have to identify how the journalization makes a difference. Let's say, for example, cultural issues can be one of the aspects which you can decipher on. There can be difference in terms of the demographics that are there. There can be a difference in terms of the attitudes that are there. But that needs to be recognized and identified in the research gap itself. That these studies evidence the particular generalizations in these areas. Would these generalizations then be carried out and can be tested in the country like India or in China or in any other particular force? Another important aspect that one needs to understand is that when one looks at particular things and scholarly works, one evaluates them critically. I have often found many research grants or proposals that usually come to stay, they don't critically evaluate. What does critical evaluation mean is that you actually assess what has been provided, what was analyzed, what was its limitation, and what could he have done further. Again, very important in the critical analysis is what some other scholars might have done in relation to that study and may have countered the study. You will see that in social sciences or in many other sciences, when you do the research grants or your research scholarly contributions, you will find contradictory views. And these contradictory views are actually provided with empirical evidence. And when you assess the empirical evidence from any of the two scholarly works, you have to assess what were their limitations and how far is their scope of generalization. So that becomes again an important aspect. Again, an important aspect is when you finish with your research gap, identify and crucially indicate that this research gap is important. Then you move on to your objectives. Now, most of your research grant proposals, which many people like yesterday, like last session, Professor Neelam Rani said, usually indicated that the objectives need to be very concrete. Very concrete in the sense what you're going to study, how you're going to study is going to come in the research methodology. But what exactly you are trying to find out needs to be very specifically specified in the objectives. You can outline them as primary objectives, you can outline them as secondary objectives. You can also identify them as objectives which will actually look at specific areas which are there. Now, in the objectives, please remember mapping is very important. When you make your research grants or research proposals, the title of the research grant, the policymakers' themes, and the research objectives should match. If they don't match, the proposal is likely to be rejected. So once you look at the theme, whether it is reducing poverty, whether it is anything else, whether it is looking at the SDG goals and their effects, whether it is trying to understand how digitalization has made a difference into the world, or anything that is there, you must map clearly the theme with the objectives. And for that, you need to study the concrete ways of your arriving at particular results, which will be indicative that the results are worthy of generalization. Very important. Then again, when you do that, another important aspect is your data and methodology. Now, a lot of times what we do is in the data and methodology, we usually identify the data that we are likely to do. Now, I have often seen that what usually in many research grants people opt for is that they look for primary data that is in the form of questionnaire surveys, which they opt for in the different regions. And they also look for certain set of they look for secondary data also. Now, there is a myth by a lot of people that secondary data by itself is not sufficient. Uh, Again, very important one. Primary data, when you take, it's important to identify who would be the respondents, where the respondents would come from, what kind of a technology would you use to reach out to the respondents. Let's say when you talk about the respondents, you can use a respondent possibility of putting the particular uh, you can put the particular thing which is there in terms of identifying which particular strategy you would like to say and say there in terms of let's say, are you going to be going in for structural equation modeling? Are you going to be going there for any other particular technique or any particular specific kind of assessment for which you can identify the types of questionnaire that you're going to do? Even in the research proposal, if you have prepared a questionnaire and identified the questions that are there, you can provide a source of that questionnaire over there. In the research proposal, again, the questionnaire needs to be identified on certain set of methodologies. You can't say I'm going to be putting this question over there and where I've achieved it, what methodology I've used it. You have to identify that. Again, when you are actually giving the questionnaire, that is the primary source that you can opt for. Secondary sources are also very important. So you have CMIE, you have Capital Online, you have for the corporate databases. Then you have IMF, you have OECD, you have AFO, you have many other international sources who can provide for, let's say, a lot of data that can be accessible. There is also data available on the World Bank on various important parameters. So if you're looking in for economic data, you're looking in for world data that can be available on these sources. The importance of the secondary data is from where you have sourced it and what you have sourced it. The research agencies are continuously evaluating what data. Similarly, in the primary sources, let's say supposing you were doing a question or upon how ease of doing business has helped MSMEs, or the GEM portal has helped MSMEs. So where did you get the MSMEs data? How did you approach the MSMEs? They may be concerned about it. They may be concerned about other aspects. Similarly, they would be concerned about the secondary data, how you've assessed it, what you've brought about in the assessment, where have you placed it, and so forth. The more international agencies or specified agencies you look at, you can actually try to identify and develop them. Then once you've identified your the data that sources that you're going to do, you're also going to identify the particular statistical tools or econometric tools that you are likely to, which becomes an important basis of the tools that you are likely to. So whether, let's say, for test of independence, you're using chi-square that is there, you can use that. Similarly, let's say for econometric tools, you're using a panel data, you're using a non-panel data, you're using a fixed analysis, you're using a particular other analysis, you're using ANCOVA, you're using dummy variables. These days, it has been found in many of the research grants, people prefer two types of data. One is quantitative data and one is qualitative data. And if you read the research grants and the research publications that have been brought about, you will see that people don't impact or they don't find the resultants of the research data into the output directly. They also identify the qualitative data together with the quantitative data. So something important is the interaction variables, which I don't know how many of you are aware of, but many people look at interaction variables, look at dummy variables, and look at the qualitative data that is there. especially in social sciences where the research grants are to be provided, it has been identified that qualitative data is of much essence to it. Because let's say, for example, you're trying to study investment behavior. A lot of people try to understand whether by gender does that change, whether by educational qualification does it change, whether by the perception of the instrument does it change. These are certain aspects which one studies. Even in stock markets, there are many studies which are done for the purposes of understanding whether a policymaker's identity of increasing the margins has helped in the liquidity in the market or has not helped in the liquidity of the market. So when we talk about the particular themes, when we talk about the data, when we talk about the research methodology, it is the strongest pillar of our research foundation. And if your research foundation, if your research grant has the strongest research methodology, it is likely to hold. It's very important after you have your particular research methodology, you identify the outcomes and the deliverables you're wanting to offer the research grant agency. What publications you're likely to bring about, what kind of results you're looking at, what scholarly previous works are you going to test. Important aspect is what previously scholarly works are you going to test in this particular area. Again, very important is, are you going to go, many times the research agencies are also in the interest of seeing how much would you bring about enlightening effect on the theme that is there. Let's say, for example, a lot of times the emphasis is on seeing does the present state of the economy affects the poor and always remember the research fund agencies have a certain theme, and that particular theme specifically is larger good. So your research proposal must ingrain itself the very simple idea that it is attempted at a larger number of people, be reached out, and is likely to bring about a transformation in the way people either think or act or do, and your resultants or suggestions will make a difference in future. So these are certain aspects which the research agencies look at. Like a research proposal, you also have to give a timeline. You have to specify how much time it takes for after the particular research agency's application is made. After that, how much time will you take for literature review? If there are case studies involved, how much time will you take for case studies? If there is data involved, how much time you would take for the data analysis? How much time would you take for the report writing? Many agencies are also involved and interested in seeing whether the particular outcomes of the research would be published somewhere or would not be published somewhere. So that is again a very important aspect. So that again looks at the particular aspects of whether it meets the light of the peer reviews. Also, as to how far would its reach be with terms of publication. There are certain agencies who publish the work. There are certain agencies who do not publish the work. There are certain agencies who would identify that there are restrictions in terms of putting the research outcomes on online websites. So you can't just decide that I do a research project and I put it on ResearchGate. You cannot do that, and that has to be done immediately. And another important aspect is that one puts in a research proposal, one prepares a proper cover letter, which is beautifully attested, says specifically which research theme address and what would be the deliverables, and get it signed by the requisite authorities. If the research agency wants an approval from the head of the institution, then give the approval from head of the institute. The research agency wants the approval from the head of the department, then you give it from the head of the department. Another important aspect is because you're aiming at growth, budgets are very. Budgets should be reasonable in terms of the fact that the research agency must feel that the researcher has attempted enough to understand every single rupee he's wanting to spend. And for that, it's very important to understand what would be the needs of your research proposal. A lot of times, many data is available free of cost. A lot of times, the data is not available. I'll give you a simple example. There has been a recent study by Cambridge on fintechs. Now, that data is highly expensive because they've done over there, and summarization and the way it has been done is specifically a very expensive data. You will have to fit in over there. Similarly, many softwares are available for a particular charge on rent, Minitab, eBooks, or the others. You have to put it. You 6 months, 200 a year, what do you want it? You want an institution. You will also have to understand if you require any further assistance for your data. It's that many professors, it's not possible to individually go and collect data. A lot of times people collect data on forms, which is a different means. A lot of times the particular research, which may be, let's say, on enterprises or the poor or on any specific idea, you might have to go and get the questionnaires filled by themselves, which you need to find research assistants, which that research assistant has to be paid according to the minimum wages that are there. Also, a certain amount has been defined by the university. So please check what your university pays for the assistant. It is important because you need to deal with the research assistant accordingly. Also, the research assistant has to be provided a certain amount of stationery. You're not going to do the project by buying the stationery. Which means you have to buy a pen, buy any other particular equipment there for the agency. Internet, these are certain costs you can attach to your research proposal. You can also attach traveling expenses, which may be there in terms of visiting the agencies or other things. You're procuring data which may be costing online or offline. You can take that. There are many data. For example, if you're doing a study MSMEs, the data on MSMEs is available for 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 different websites. You can pick on. If you're doing the data on economic data, you're doing it from one country. So there is certain data which is still available. You're looking for certain publications to be referred. Large number of publications. The publications are there online to be read. It's not possible in the entire bit online. So he needs to purchase it. It needs to purchase it at the cost. Evaluate this cost and then put it in very specific. It is too elaborate, it doesn't. It is too minimal, it doesn't. The whole idea of a budget is that it has to be very, very reasonable. It has to appeal to the research experts that this person is intending to do the research, and every bit in this particular research is intended to be spent on the way the research also times membership present your costing also invest in that. Usually they are not very keen on that, but they can not say that please get it is okay. Very important. Look at the means, the ways identifying power PowerPoint presentations. There are today sliders and softwares available which can make your slides. So again, when you're putting up your data, putting up anything that are there, it graphically show. And whatever is your idea, take it in the form of infographics. But it's a way of putting the entire idea in one graph, very beautifully, right from the beginning till the end. And add an infographic or publication or research graphics, softwares available there, the cost associated, add on to it, add in one of as a faculty, you need to ensure that you deliver that delivery is so much up to the organize it. And we talk about a lot of things here. When we do it, it becomes difficult. Also, assess research grants, it's full assessment, what the particular software will ultimately you, which it is important to read articles, because many articles would indicate what particular software, what particular data, what particular results adds on to your one. Whichever theme you choose, read more and more, assess more and evaluate it, and it. I say research grants. Most remember started. I try to find in there, try to get mentors from immediate institutions like IITs, IIMs, many other institutions can aid and help you out a better. There is no birth of good academicians. Academics, many are they are willing to come. They'll tell you in this proposal that you should have added this. Maybe this particular thing should have added advantage. In very important aspect is as we present at credentials. Because members from time that test is named by itself adds as the same definition because of the institution norms and adds similarly some apps already saw the same ad. I'm not saying I'm only saying
Yamini ma'am.
yes,
Yamini ma'am. I guess there is some network issue at your end. We are not able to hear you clearly.
Are you able to hear me now?
Now, yes, now, yes.
Okay. So there are a lot of advantages when one joins a team. And a lot of times I suggest people that you look at your field. If your field is marketing, your field is finance, your field is HR, your field is others, interact and get a group of people. Today, the internet is available with you. And when it's available with you, you have the access of their emails. Most websites, most institutions have kept the contacts of their people there. You can contact them and they are willing. If they are not willing, there are many people out there in LinkedIn, both internationally and nationally, who are willing to work. But what's important is that you recognize that you meet their and your expectations together, for which it's important to do the necessary background work of the individual, which means you study his CV, you follow him on the digital footprints, you see what he works on, what he doesn't like, what he likes. It is your effort. Please remember, things will work only if you put in a requisite effort. A lot of times people come up to us, ma'am, हमारे network नहीं है, we are not so well established, we don't have influence, and we are not getting the projects. But the fact is, there are many people, many research funding agencies who are looking in for meritorious, good, essential projects which give meaningful results that can have a good impact on people. So that is very, very essential. The positivity you maintain with your research proposals will also play a key role, because no research funding wants a negative impact of its research results in future, because it also becomes questionable to them as to what kind of a project have they funded. So similarly, the positivity and the contributions that you can possibly make in the research project becomes important. Also, the contemporary outlook of the research proposals is very important. If you don't follow, if you bring about an arcane project, or you say the theme is very old, it's not recognized, it's not brought in, or it's not something that is accessed, I don't think many research agencies would like to work on. Why? Because research in its own keyword has the importance of what is contemporary, what is new, and how futuristic it can be in its vision. So though it looks at what the secondary data may say, what the primary data may say, but it is aiming at a future. It is aiming at what the future would look like and what your results can contribute in the future. So remember, when you are making a research proposal, when you are making any bid, as you say, or when you are trying to coax or woo your research funding agency, you must make your proposal with so much conviction that people are keen to read it, and read your proposal yourself several times, because a lot of times what happens is, when we've done the work, we forget to read it, and there are large number of grammatical mistakes, there are a large number of typographical mistakes, there are a large number of referencing mistakes. A lot of times we fail there, though we have done a good work, but since we are tired of ourselves, we don't do that. So it's very important, when you present your work, read it 10 times before you present it, because you know that in some sentence somewhere you might have ended up in a grammatical manner, or too long is the sentence, or probably the paragraph, or it doesn't connect. So when you read it yourself, and don't read it one after another. It's not like FT half an hour you do it. You read it, you leave it. You read it, you leave it. Leave it for half an hour, leave it for 2 days, come back to the proposal. Remember the deadline, start early, work on that. So these are certain important aspects which one needs to remember. And again, when we apply with all positivity, thinking that you're going to do that. And also at times, networking helps, which is very important. So you meet the research funding agencies, the heads of research funding agencies, look at their outlook. It's very important to understand that it's not about networking in any other manner, but understanding what their outlook is, how do they want to go forth with, what are they wanting from a research proposal, or what are they wanting to foster, because every organization fosters a vision, fosters a particular mission, and that is how they move forward. So these are certain important things which I feel are important. We have another individual who would come and speak to you. I think Professor Bhardwaj is waiting. I have taken enough time of each one of you. So I request Professor Bhardwaj to please have her session. Is Professor Bhardwaj there? Uh, Professor Bhardwaj, are you there? Yes, I think she has. So she'll take it on.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
there.
you so
Is my
much.
slide visible? Thank you so much, Yamini ma'am,
Yes,
for
it's
your
just
very
Yes, ma'am, your
enlightening
slide is
talk
visible.
on what are the very nitty-gritties of writing a research proposal, where to get the funding from, interaction based on the critical aspects of research funding, research requirement, and effective implementation. So thank you so much, Professor Yamini, for your very wonderful talk. And we are very grateful to that. From there on, I take this opportunity to introduce, my slides are there. Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
visible.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Thank you. So what we are going to do is jointly along with Yamini ma'am, we are going to share on behalf of BVIMR, we are going to share this journey of how we have got bagged couple of AICT projects, UGC projects, and BVDO projects, number one, and the journey of execution and successful completion. As on first day, Professor Neelam ji has already, I am Shillong, she has already executed one of the very important aspect of project management system, PMS we call it, is getting a project is very easy. You may disagree with me, we can discuss on that. However, what we really need to look at is how we execute time in a timely manner and completion of paperwork as per the funding agency's requirements. So my humble request to all of us is to, one is the preparation of project, where on day one we have absolutely deliberated in detail what are the very nitty-gritties of the proposal making. The formats have been shared. We request humbly to all the participants to go through the format of the research proposal. I'm also going to share that right now on my screen. And then the journey of execution of the project management, and then completion and celebration. Yes. So this project which I'm sharing on the screen is this was funded by BVDU last year. Sometimes when we apply for the project, it takes a couple of months to. So let me share a very personal experiences. We applied in the month of July, and the approval came in January, and we got the execution direction from Director Ma'am on the basis that you will have to complete these projects by April. Now, you may say that there are a lot of difficulties in completion of the project in 3-4 months. Okay, now when we are saying completion and execution of project, there are a couple of things that are required by the mandatory bodies are project evaluation committee. Okay, so once you get the project, you have to have a project evaluation committee wherein your research cell members or the members of your faculty members you can comprise of, who are very well versed with the project execution. So you have to give at least mandatorily 3 to 5 presentations on the same, and then record it in a, I'm talking in terms of NB and NAC requirement, and also the, if we are submitting it to the AICT, UGC, and other government governing bodies from where the funding has been given, they would also require that who has signed in your approval, where you have gone through different checks during your execution of project, implementation of project. So with that note, I just share the journey. So we applied in July, we got it in January, and we executed till April, right? And the journey was that we have to collect all the information related to the paperwork. Now, here the catch is, I have seen a lot of the very brilliant, excellent researchers completing their project. But where is the catch here is to complete the budget part. As Professor Neelam and Yamini ma'am has also emphasized, making the budget and agreeing to the timeline and the nitty gritties. Say if we are proposing that, I'm going to share the budget proposal also once again for your kind reference. So if we are saying the traveling allowance is 5,000, you make sure that the traveling allowance is at par with 4,995 or 5,125. Okay, it cannot be radically going up to 10,000. We are going to discuss on the same, right? So first part of the research proposal would look like something like this: that you build up an introduction part, wherein your need for the study. Basically, what is the one is the agenda is that. area of research. I heard Professor Lata, or there was some faculty member from biotech background, where she mentioned that when you are mentioning your project in a certain area, okay, so area of research is the second point. So one is the title. Now, when we are giving the title, I have experienced in my journey that title making is very important. So what is the thing that we need to really, if you see here the title, you see factors influencing sustainable development. Now tell me one thing, that how the government or government agencies decide on the project funding. It is the keyword and justification to those policies. Okay, so if the government of India has focus on sustainable development, your research must focus on sustainable development. Why? Because this fundings come from taxpayers money. You have to understand the nitty gritties of how the funding comes to us, and what is the expectation to the society, that we need to really give it back to the society in terms of what the taxpayers money is revolving around. Okay, so when we are saying here is based on the title and justification to the title, also the societal implication and benefit that we provide to the universe and the society at large, is the scale of decisive factor based on which our projects are funded. So take kind my humble request to my research colleagues is, make sure that those words are there, and then we do justice to it. So you see here sustainable development, education. You see here in NEP 2020, our government of India has a focus on sustainable education and access to education to the masses. How we are going to do it? We are saying that experiential learning is going to be used using artificial intelligence, and distribution is going to be through Internet of Things, like you are going to distribute it through different supply chain management of education supply. Okay, so this is where I would humbly request that kindly do your literature review, find out the need, and make it a very catchy title which includes the governmental policies, and that is where they will get inside the first page of reading the research proposal. Okay, so moving on to further, this is the introduction. Based on, now heart of any research proposal is similar. I was taking a session in our research cafe where we try to create a research environment. There some of the very great faculty members shared that what is the percentage of approval of the projects. Now here my humble request to all of us is, we do not work in different projects. Okay, we work in one project. So for example, this one was the agenda of the research proposal, my papers were in this area, and my study or my factors or my teaching learning was also in this area. Now you may say, ma'am, how do we sync it? You are very brilliant, you can do it, but only request is that we need to sync the various dimensions of outcomes of research project in facilitating the teaching learning benefits, because we are developing the nation through our student learning process. So if we map the outcome based solutions to the POCO and other things, we will be able to justify one, the funding, the execution, and the third is how we are enhancing the student learning and enabling the society towards better welfare. Okay, so let's and when we say the second part, B part, novelty is where we try to justify all these things. I'm going to share that journey with you with my existing project. Okay, so introduction, need of the study. This is a part of the literature review. So this was, of course, we are trying to find out the digital education process. So we went on the online existence of education, their challenges, their various kinds of existing, gaps that the education might have. Like right now we saw that we may have content, but technology enablement and how we reach out to the audience, and the experiential learning, because we cannot replace 100% education with digital technology, but of course we can disseminate the education to the masses using technology. So that is the enablement. Okay, so we say here there are various literature reviews. Now, in literature review, sometimes the questions arises that from where we take it. One, that we take it from the evaluation. Now, that has to go into your research proposal also. They are going to check how in depth we have already done the literature review, but you may not include, say, between 1 to 2 pages of LR, because total proposal would be between 10 to 15 pages. So you may give 3 to 4 pages of LR right from the inception of artificial intelligence, its use in education, and to till date 2023, January, February, March, whatever is available. Okay. In between, you can just write comma and add on to those literature reviews. So that's the backbone. Based on that, we would mention the objective. This is exactly as per the research proposal. Now, if you see the objective, you may just give not more than 2 or 3 if it is a minor project. If it's a major project, then you may give up to 5. Okay, but not more than 5. But the outcomes of a major project is like a PhD thesis, and a minor project is like a kind of, a master's thesis. So make sure that, and also the project outcomes include that you be published at least 2 papers for Scopus or Web of Science or UGC Care, and give at least 2 presentations. That's the minimum mandatory part. More the merrier. Okay, so make sure that these kind of executions. And now you may ask that in 3-4 months, how do we do it? So that's why I shared the journey is we continue to work in the areas of our passion, and then generate projects out of those passionate areas which help us to contribute towards larger nation development. Okay, so just make sure that you continue your passion, and of course you can see and reflect how you can help with those research areas in helping the nation to build up more further and bigger and better. Okay, so this was a minor project, so I have given 2, but I will share a part, if time permits, a part of my AICT journey that we executed in 2011 on green retailing. That had five objectives. Okay, now once we do the literature review, the factors you may give in the research proposal, just like a tabular form. Like if we say the degree of satisfaction in artificial intelligence, how from what are the authors who have talked about that, and where are the items coming from. So my constructs were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 constructs, and you can see that sustainable education and employability. And along with that, when we had the project evaluation committee presentations, there was one intellectual faculty members who added that entrepreneurship should also be a part of your outcomes. So we added that outcome. So that's the best part of all the presentations that we give, is how we really take out the best of whatever milestone we get, and the funding that is given by Government of India, we have to appreciate and contribute. So the definitions were given by various authors, so you may not include the definitions. This is part of also the PEC committee, that is Project Evaluation Committee report. So while you are doing the report, you can just define it, but in the research proposal, you may just add into your normal, evaluation kind of, proposal. So you will just give one liner for every, say, ease of use of technology in education. You may just give this as a paragraph like this I'm sharing. So you may just give it not in a tabular form, but in your research paper publication, you may give it in a tabular form. It is always very, very appreciated. Okay. Right. So now then after that, this conceptual framework is a must for every, research proposal that we give. So how do we get that? You see here that these are the kind of items, and that leads to the adoption of online education and economic development. Economic development has been bifurcated in 2 more variables, that is self-employment and entrepreneurship, and the other outcome is self-development and personality development and your service index. Okay, so I'm going to share the outcomes. The various hypotheses. Now, hypothesis is a must for your research proposal. Okay, right. So in the hypothesis, we are just assuming that adoption of technology influences the sustainable education significantly. Okay, now here we will just say that how do we measure technology? How do we measure the sustainable education? These items, your question that is arising, have already been addressed in the literature review and the factors that has been measured. So again, I'm emphasizing on the left hand, these variables are the input variables and they are known as the constructs. I'm sure we all know that, but for the sake of explaining it in the research proposal, we will explain it in this way only, right? And then we will just say that these are the hypotheses based on the proposed gap area. Okay, so we find out most important is the need of the study, justification of the study. Okay, so if you go to 1.2.1, that's I'm talking in terms of referencing to the format of the research proposal. If you have not received that, just send me a mailer or something so that I know how to share. I will share it with the next day's link. Okay, right. So once we just go to that 1.2.1, there is a justification at two levels: justification at national level and justification at international level. So if you refer to those two levels, you will have to, again, what we have usually found out that we generally write a statement without a reference. Every reference that we put in, say for example, if I write just like this, that this is the need without any reference, which looks like, let's just see, within the bracket, it has to be within the bracket. Say for example, I will say this and I have to write within the bracket, say Bhardwaj 2022 or something you will write without reference. No statement is valid. Okay, now you may say for every statement we have to give a reference. Yes, I think not only it is required, but it gives an authenticity that we have done our homework and we know what we are saying, and there are references which the authors can refer to, because what's the purpose of research is, how do we get accepted in a paper or a research proposal is the discussion part. Can somebody follow that research just by knowing our methodology? Okay, so when we are mentioning that, we make sure that that kind of, say for example, if you see here, this line is supported by Weber 2022, who talked about that ICT communication contributes towards sustainable education, right? So every the more the merrier, and more we can plug in the references, so that would enable us to really make the research robust, research proposal and execution and paper publication, which is kind of outcome. Outcomes can also be measured as how many master's degree has come out of this project. So last year we did at least 2 master's students were involved in this. Four students were involved who will be publishing their master's paper on the same. So research outcomes is also in terms of how many students have been benefited out of any funded project. So some of the very old projects that I've executed, some of the PhD thesis have also been executed. Say for example, social media and its application to entrepreneurial outcomes. So this was a part of our funding from my postdoctoral thesis, which went to execute, and we got a PhD degree awarded out of that. Right, so those kind of execution, and when we say that my need, my contribution, now when we go to the B part of the research proposal, there is a novelty, and the B part is contribution. There are two bullet formats. I'm going to share that. So B part is how many students, what are the outcomes, what are the project evaluation outcomes, and the so on and so forth. So we need to mention that what are our intentions, how much we intend to help the nation through our research proposals. Okay, so the larger number of people that are going to be benefited, directly proportional to the budget that you are proposing, and if that looks very justified, of course the funding really comes to you. Okay, so keeping that in mind, we give the hypothesis and make sure that hypothesis measurements are mentioned in the literature review and your research methodology. Okay, so when we are trying to do the research methodology part, we have to mention that how the adoption of technology, what are the items, what are the scales, and what are the various constructs we are going to measure. So you see here research methodology, and what kind of, is it going to be a mixed method? Is it going to be, now when we try to do the research methodology, okay, any questions? Okay. Shweta, can you just switch off all the other mute everybody if they do not have a question?
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Anyone who wants to ask a question can unmute themselves and they can open their camera also. Am I audible, ma'am? Hello? Hello? Yes, sir.
Shweta, could you please mute everybody? And if somebody has a question, please ask, raise your hands. We'll unmute you then. Shweta, there is quite disturbance coming from some people. Can you please mute the audience? You can enable Professor Bhardwaj's microphone then. Professor Bhardwaj, you can enable your microphone and then you can continue with the presentation, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So let's just move on with the research methodology. People who are unable to kind of, stay connected, there are little network issues. So what you can do is you can type it in the chat box. We can take those questions. Yeah, right. So for research methodology, when we are trying to see, make sure that whatever the purpose and the objectives are, they are measurable. Okay, right? So if we are saying that technology enables, so in
Professor
this case,
Bhardwaj,
we
can you
have.
please make your screen full screen because there is a request from someone.
Okay, let me try doing that.
Just an F5.
F5.
Yeah.
F5.
Button
Yeah.
at the bottom.
But then I have to go enter. Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for your feedback. So
It's still not full screen.
it is full screen on my computer, but is it getting broadcasted?
No, it's not actually.
Yeah?
Never
It is
mind.
not? Okay, right. So when we are doing the research methodology, what we can do is we can make sure that all the objectives and sub-objectives. So if you go to 1.2.2, 1.1, the format, okay, I'm talking about the format of research proposal. There are secondary objectives. There are two types of objectives. One is the primary objective that I shared two. Secondary objective of this kind of project may be that we want to use artificial intelligence for, say, medical research, for, say, entrepreneurship, or, say, financial research analyst. Okay, so the outcome shares that. But then when we are saying the secondary objective, make sure that whatever methodology we are able to float and discuss and include should be able to appreciate and reachable, and those goals are reachable. Okay, right. So if you see, this is the project execution part of that. So we have adopted the reliability. Now, this is also a journey that how you complete the project. Now that you have already submitted, let's assume that you have already backed the project. And then how do you execute? Remember, if it is between 6 months to 1 year, usually most of the projects are between 1 year to 2 years. If it is 10 lakh, it will be around, say, 2 years. If it is, say, 3 lakhs, it will be about between 2 years. But we should also aim at executing it initially. Say pilot should be, even sometimes, let me share my personal journey, is before I propose the project, I do my pilot. Okay, why, you may ask me, a very good question, is because I do not know what I can measure, and when I commit, every single full stop and comma has to be accepted and abided by when we are trying to execute project as per Government of India or any other funding agencies. So when we are sharing the objective, making the research methodology, we need to be sure ourselves it is measurable and we can do it and we can execute it, and then we propose it to the government that yes, this is what. So then once you have backed that, we have adopted and we have done the pilot study, where we have done the pilot study, and this Cronbach alpha more than 0.5 as given by this Nunnally 1999, it was accepted. And then, you may ask me a scale making. Scale making I have already shared like this. If you see here, the scale. Um, Now, this is why what happens is when we have done our literature review, the scale making, you see here factors. These are the references on the right hand side. This is the factor. This is the reference. So total questionnaires were on 45. Now, sometimes a very good project would also include the questionnaire. I usually do that. I will include everything that I know, and that would actually give the agencies certain kind of confidence that this is executable and measurable, and the project outcomes will abide by the reflection of the government funding agencies, right? So if you see here, these and the items are on this one. If you see the definitions and the items are given. I have not
Professor,
included that
your
slide.
slides are not changing. Can you please change your slides? Just see that yeah, you should.
I have changed. Is it reflected on
No,
screen?
it's not. It's showing the research methodology slide.
Okay. So I think there is a little kind of network issue, but it will come. What is happening is it's getting broadcasted, but it is reflected at a
You just
little lag time.
just share it again, and then probably it can
Okay.
come.
So I stop sharing and then share again. Let me try that.
That would help.
Escape. Let's just do that. Meanwhile, if there is any other question, I would be
If there are any questions, please raise your hands.
share, and then I move on to the screen window, and I share again. Right. Let's refresh. Right. And is the screen visible now?
No, not really. No, it's not.
Okay. Doesn't matter, but I think what we can do is we can do it without it, but I'm going to share is after the project we have presented, because we are waiting for only say 15 minutes, another speaker will be there. So I'll quickly complete this project presentation, and we will invite Professor Dr. very eminent speaker Anshu ji for her wonderful session. So I would not take much of your time and try to conclude this session. Okay, for the sharing of notes, I would be mailing all the participants the project format once again. Feel free to put a question, and it will be answered. So factor analysis, then we did the RFRC model. So reliability factor. Now you may ask me reliability why? Because we don't know that whether our questionnaire is reliable or not, or the testing methods are reliable. So for social sciences, especially, we do the reliability analysis. And then we do the factor analysis to identify whether the factors, say, for example, I'm just reading out for the people who are unable to see my screen. Say, for example, we are sharing that artificial intelligence, when used, the consumer attitude towards any product is enhanced. How? We are saying that when there is a virtual reality, and when the virtual reality interacts with the customer, their customer experiential marketing experiences are better, and we are saying that that attitude towards a particular brand goes higher. Okay, so in that first item we have got the extractions 0.793, and the number of products that is increased is say 0.645. I'm just reading out all the slides for your convenience. But now when I'm talking about the items, say number of products increased using the artificial intelligence during our execution is the degree of execution that we are trying to increase. And
Could you please mute the audience? It's causing a disturbance. It's a part of your slides are not visible.
yeah, so in information metaverse, we are saying that there is a metaversity which is created out of the whole system. Say, for example, if you see the metaversity created by Facebook, we are saying that when the universities are creating metaverse using artificial intelligence and IoT, their experiential learning of the students is better and increased, and that factor is 0.606.
Internet out.
Okay, and then there are particular area of benefits that are there. So if we try to move on to the next slide, it is the factor analysis, again artificial intelligence when it is used in investment system, reading fraud, that is the financial system. So overall what I'm going to take you to is the regression analysis. You will see that there is a regression analysis where the R square value is 0.582. Okay, now here there is this society benefit. Now what we found out, this project was accepted as the respondents said that there is a lot of benefit that they see using
हाँ
artificial
तो
intelligence.
होगा
ये तो है।
नहीं वो नहीं इट इज नॉट अलाउड उसका हो गया अगर तो उसकी किस्मत थी जिस फैकल्टी ने चेक किया ये नहीं अलाउड होगा हर एक सब्जेक्ट अलग-अलग फैकल्टी चेक करते हैं उस पे शेयरिंग करो हमेशा तो जरूरी नहीं है एक सब्जेक्ट को 15 फैकल्टी मिलते हैं कुछ नहीं पता किसका पेपर कहाँ जा रहा है स्पेशल इंस्ट्रक्शन में है तो क्यों लिख रहे हो
बंद करो ना।
You please mute your audience.
First mute everybody. We can do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, I request humbly everybody to mute their mic if you do not have questions. If you have questions, we are open for the questions. Any questions? Okay, so let's just quickly move on to it. Is we have 7 minutes for Professor Anshuji to join. Okay, so I'm just reading out all these slides for the people who are unable to see my slide due to certain infrastructural issues. So we do RFRC models, so regression, reliability, factor, regression, and correlation. That is for social projects. I'm saying psychometric analysis. And then after that, we do the correlation analysis, and then I'm going to take you to the demographic profile. Demographic profile was male to female. You know, we took it from the rural India also. We took it from the general, but in rural India, we found out that there is a lot of challenges in infrastructural issues. So they don't even have the network. You have to understand that there the enablement of technology, the basis is availability of infrastructure. Okay, so probably the ebook conversion, we found out that when we converted every content in the ebook, and we have done at least 5 ebook conversions during this project, which we have shared free of cost with the students. Now when we are trying to give the project evaluation assessment to the committee members and presentation, you must mention that this was the outcome because of the project, and then we have given the benefit to the nation and the for the nation development free of cost. Say whatever you have developed and you have shared free of cost because the funding was already from Government of India. So this was about at least 5 ebooks were developed, mostly in social media analytics, digital marketing, and entrepreneurship and innovation. There was one in consumer behavior. The fourth one was on startup and financial analysis. Okay, so that if you see here, I'm again, if you cannot see, that's fine. I'm going to really give you a vivid description online to visualize the research outcomes. Okay, so what outcomes came here is I'm going to take you towards the final outcome. We call it the validated model. Now, one, we have given a conceptual model to the students. To the people of AICT or the governing bodies. Now, once you have executed the project, we have to make sure that all those project outcomes are validated in a validated model. Okay, so I am going to immediately share the screenshot of this one and the outcomes. once I mail you the next day's link. That's a promise from my side. So what we have done is I'm going to give you a vivid description. So on left hand side, you can imagine there are 5 boxes. There are input variables. So first one was, which came out of the project evaluation, was metaversity and its use in say biotechnology and medical research, where we found out that when we are using artificial intelligence in this university setup to make sure that they are able to use the imaging system, medical imaging system using AI, when there is a realistic positioning. So one is, say, for example, infected lung and one is the true lung. And then that they can have those experiential learning while using artificial intelligence and its impact on medical research and use of technology in medical sciences and learning. Okay, so that was our first outcome where and this one directly connected with sustainable development. And they allowed us to understand that if we have to really scale up as per the 7 billion people in the world, okay, and try to provide them with the medical services using artificial intelligence and metaversity concept in education system, it can absolutely make medical sciences accessible to all and reach the nitty-gritties of rural India. So that was one proposition that we have actually mentioned. Market research was the second area where we have to okay. So I believe our next author has already joined. I will quickly conclude here and allow her to continue from here. Okay, so market research was another area, and then self-concept was the other area. The self-concept, one very interesting aspect of which was shared was that they want to use it for societal benefit, and that is where the whole project funding justification really goes to the larger masses. And financial analysis, where fraud detection came out to be one of the very intricacies of the project. And then the last but not the least, one of the very decisive factor is the decision making of investment analysis and startup decision making, which ventures to fund in for. So all these decision making led to sustainable development through online education enabled by artificial intelligence and distributed by IoT. So with that note, I give you a thank you note for being a very wonderful audience and giving us this opportunity to share. More we will share, but I take this opportunity to introduce our next speaker, Professor Dr. Anshulekha Gupta ji. Warm welcome, ma'am, for your very, very short notice acceptance. We are very heartfelt, a very heartfelt welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Anshulekha, for.
Thank you. So I take this opportunity to introduce our next eminent speaker, Professor Anshulekha Gupta ji. She is a professor of data analytics and economics in the Department of Management Studies at Graphics Era T2B University, Dehradun, Uttarakhand, India. She is an avid researcher in the diverse field of green marketing, energy, digital economy, and sustainability. She has a distinguished academic record and holds a doctorate and a post-graduation in economics. In addition, she is also a postgraduate in marketing management and international business. Dr. Gupta has more than 21 years of rich experience in teaching, research, and industry. Besides academics, she also holds different administrative positions in academic institutions and corporate. Dr. Gupta's research interest areas include international economics, behavioral, and environmental economics. She has published a number of research publications in national and international journals of repute and presented more than 30 research papers in national and international conferences, which include Bangkok, Thailand, and other international bodies. She has also published a lot of edited books. Her recent research interest areas include environmental economics, which was published in the Springer Nature, Singapore, and she is also a reviewer in several national and international journals of international repute. She has so many publications, and the most important part is she has several patents on model of effective cross-selling for financial products. intelligent, secure, private key sharing framework for advanced communication using asymmetric cryptography and blockchain. And last but not the least, a very big thank you note to Professor ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us on this very august gathering. Over to you, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I am very happy to be present over here. And this is a great opportunity you have given me. Thanks a lot, ma'am. You had given me to interact my audience and with all the those are present over here. So I'm sure this session would be very insightful to each and everyone. That session I'm going to take on one particular topic, funded research projects. And here is in our country number of research agencies those are available and those are providing funding. So I'm going to share, I'm giving you all the examples of research funded agency preparation, how you are going to submit project and what would be the deadlines, how you have to follow those are the criteria and who is falling in which particular criteria. So I'm sure that would be very helpful. So I'm just sharing my screen.
Ma'am, there is a share button which is like an arrow, and then
yes, I had clicked on it, and so I am sharing entire screen, right? Or window. I should share entire screen or window. I'm sure.
Very nice. Yes. Thank you.
Right. So I'm sure my screen is visible, right?
Yeah. It is visible.
Visible. Thank you so much. So there is n number of projects those you can submit. Lot of opportunities are here. Recently what we are doing, we are submitting a one project to DST and that is costing, it is around 4.5 crores project we are submitting. So government have lot of opportunity. You must submit, you should identify your area, where what is your area where you have to write projects, you can justify all these projects. And here is, I'm just giving you, this is just a sample of ICSSR. And Indian Council of Social Research, this is the one of the, I could say, right, Indian Council of Social Science Research, you can see here. So there is this special call for studies of the cultural history and geography of the scheduled tribes of India under research projects. Nowadays government is more concerned about scheduled tribes. Those are because these scheduled tribes are either at the extinct level, or they want to protect it, or they have to develop their livelihood as well as skill development. They would like to focus on this. So this is one of the projects that we had already submitted to ICSSR. So such kind of, we can see here, these kind of forms that would be performer would be available on these sites easily. You can see these are the this one is the performer, where is you are going to fill all your personal information. Then further we will move to the your mother's name, father's name, all these information that is required. And as well as here is, I will show you what are the most important point over here. If you have any patents, as because number of patents would also counted in your project, that's a very good very important part of this. If you have relevant patent of that particular area, that is the chances are brighter you can get this project. Yes. Am I audible? Yes.
You're audible.
Yes. So here is, you can see number of research papers also. If you had already published in the past, those are the related research papers on that particular area. So I'm sure that would be very beneficial to you. The more chances would be more brighter. You can see here whether received any financial assistance from any other institution like UGC, ICAR, ICR, ICPR, ICHR, etc. So if you have such kind of research projects, you can write here, and that would be the more brighter chances, because already they understand how many research projects you had completed and how many research projects are going on, running projects. So there's the, or you can write, if you do not have any research project, you can say, I do not have any research project, this is my first project. So no problem. But if you have already completed number of the projects, so that would be greater chance you can get these projects. So educational qualification, that's the most important part. And research experience of the project director. Yes. Here is, there is the two things. One is PI, another one is co-PI. PI means, PI full form is principal investigator. And co-PI means that is the co-investigator. So PI is the main person, and but co-PI also, they have to put their entire profile. Right, at the end of this research proposal, you have to give your profile. So if they would see, fine, you suppose somebody is working on wastewater. Let's say we are talking about hospital wastewater. If you do not have past experience and you are not in that particular relevant area, so that could be very difficult to justify your research project in that particular area, right? So here is, you can see, because that area is relevant, you had already published past research papers already, and as well as you have done number of the patents related to that particular area. So project completed maximum 5, ongoing projects, fellowships, PhD guidance, ample guidance related to that particular area. So papers published, you read, because details of the best 5 to 10 papers, only these people are required, ICSSR. If you have these kind of papers, just put your title, your journal name, month, year, and as well as in which particular journal, or it is UGC care list, or it is the Scopus index or Web of Science, whatever is the, where is the indexing of that particular paper, you can mention over here. Then further we will go there, any other important research achievements that you have done, you can mention. Affiliation details, because this is my affiliation, I have put it all my details over here. And here is title of the research proposal, abstract, that's the most important part. And here is introduction of the proposed study. Here is like when you are writing any research paper, where is you are writing introduction. Introduction means you are, how you are going to cover up, what could be your strategy to run this particular project. So what you have to do, you have to give your plan of action. And you can see plan of action, that's the very important, this plan of action. Because through plan of action, you can say up to that particular month we will finish this part, up to that particular month, up to that particular year we would collect data, and after that we are going to analyze each and everything in which section you are doing what activity. Then is major research work reviewed internationally or nationally, not less than 15 to 20 important works you have to mention over here. Identification of research, major research questions, you have to write it here. Then proposed methodology for research work, that's important. That is the limit of the words is approximation for 400 words. Then we come to the innovation path-breaking aspect of the proposed research. Yes, what is innovative point you are contributing? Or in the past, already people have done this such kind of projects. So what is your relevance? What is your contribution to the society? Right. So why you are putting up that particular project? You are submitting this project to the that particular organization. Then we come to the expect output such as papers in journals, edited book, and policy papers, document databases, etc., with proposed timeline and place of publication where you are going to publish this particular paper. And any new data to be generated where data efficiency is felt, you have to mention here. Relevance of the proposed study for policy making, whether this paper would contribute when we are framing some policy. So this paper would contribute something in the policy making, because that is the towards the policy side, this kind of research proposal you have done. So of course you can write what would be your this current research project contribution to the policy making. Then we come to the relevance of the proposed study for society. Yes, of course, any research project if we are doing, let's say we are working on scheduled tribe, we are working on SC/ST community, and here is because everybody is aware in Uttarakhand, Jaunsar Baba, that is the one of the place. There is this community is here, and our government is giving a lot of fund to develop that particular area for the livelihood, for the skill development. So we people are working on that particular area. And as well as there is the number of tribes, I could say number of tribes, those are required attention, and those are where is you have to work a lot for these particular tribes, because otherwise these tribes would be extinct. And here is milestone set for such successive quarter of the study. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, depends on the you had given for this research proposal for 3 years, for 2 years, for 1 year. So accordingly you have to fulfill all this data, and that will be the budget is required. I will show you where is my filled budget, how you are divide your budget in various heads. And proposed budget of the study under expenditure heads of the justification. I mean, whether you would like to recruit or appoint a research associate, research assistant, field investigator. If suppose you are giving this field, you are appointing this field investigator, so what would be proposed salary and for how many months? Right. Suppose you need this field investigator for 12 months, for 2 years, means 24 months, or for how many months you require. So accordingly you have to. Then there is the field work, travel, logistic, boarding, survey, preparation or consultancy, etc. Let's say I am sharing one of my example. Here is I am working on one of the block of Uttarakhand, and there is the 6 blocks in Uttarakhand. So I am working only one block, and this block is Doiwala, and in this block we have to put our workstation. And time to time we are going to conduct workshop for those people, those are looking for livelihood, and those they are looking for skill development. So we need to set up a workstation over there. Then we have to visit, and that is why we need traveling grant, and we will appoint some field investigator over there or research assistant. They would be residing over there, and time to time we would collect data from the local community, and this local community we would like to train them. We have to provide them livelihood, as well as we would like to develop their skills. But again, now there is a question why you had opted that particular area. Why you had opted Doiwala, why you have not opted Sahespur and other areas, like we can say Vikas Nagar. These are our blocks. So here that is your responsibility. You have to justify why you have taken only into consideration this particular area. Let's say I've taken Doiwala, not Sahespur or not Vikas Nagar. So here is why you have taken, because that is based on the past report. Government is publishing these block-wise report, and easily you can find it. And on the basis of these report, that was the population of that particular block, and these are the income generation we are getting from that particular place, and as well as these are the skills these people have. Like let's say in our Uttarakhand, Chakrata is very famous for Rajma, and as well as for Adrak farming. Adrak means ginger farming. And there is some places are very good for mushroom farming. So if these places you are targeting these places, so if suppose that after soil testing you can say this particular land is suitable for other kind of I could say crop. That crop also you can cultivate over here, and that would be give biggest margins or profit margins as comparatively to those are existing crops. So what you have to do, you have to write proposal, you can submit this proposal, government will give you funding, and accordingly you have to start working on, and please train to your local people over there, and you can provide them seeds, quality seeds, as well as you can provide them soil testing facility, and as well as what you have to do, you can train them time to time, you can organize workshops over there. So this is the basic purpose behind this. The government is doing funding. When we come to the, here is publication of report, printing, publishing, final report, binding, computer peripherals, all everything you have to mention over here. And affiliating institution overheads, each and everything, and justification of different heads of the budget. You have to mention, here is you are going to give declaration, I hereby declare that I am not a defaulter of any previous ICCR grant and all. So that means they would understand you are a genuine person, and there is no past discrepancies going on. So they would consider your project, and after that what you have to do, annexure checklist, whatever the annexures they required, you have to attach all the annexures, and you have to, this is the checklist, and this is the letter. This is like this letter I have written to the in charge of research project division for ICSSR, and after that I have taken forwarding from my registrar sir. So with name and stamp, then only you will, that project would be considered. So, I mean, considered means in the sense they will take it into consideration, and after that shortlisting committee, they would finalize whether this project has this kind of, I mean, whether we can carry forward this project or we should reject this particular project. I mean, there is no contribution to the society or no innovative ideas and no further development is there. So finally, what you have to do, you have to write at the last this kind of letter. So I have shared with you, this is the one of the ICSSR. I am going to share, this is the new schedule. I have changed my, this one is the content. So is this visible? Just one person please confirm.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is visible.
I mean, where is the written Department of Science and Technology? Is the same sheet is visible, no?
It is visible. Department of Science and Technology. Department
Yes.
Call for
Right.
proposals.
Yes. That means my document has changed. Fine. So this is the, I have downloaded this particular schedule, call for proposal. That is good for you. Here is, you can see deadlines. If you people are thinking to submit any research project to DST, you can say Department of Science and Technology. That is under Ministry of Science and Technology. If you would like to, this is the call for proposal for, you can see 2023 and 24. These are the current projects. So you can see here, these are the program name or scheme names, and call themes, strengthening of geospatial science with a special focus on geodesy, and calls opening date, that was the 18th May, that was recently it was opened, and 18 June is the last date, because that particular proposal would be closed, and 30 days window is open. If you people are planning to submit, those are related to that particular area, those they think this is my area and I can do justice of this area, and I can give best of my experience and best of my hard working, and I mean those in the previous year I had already published related research papers and patents, so I can go ahead and you can submit this paper, this particular project. And you can see like these are the NGP division, and May 23 it was open, and June 23 30 days window is here, and so on. So I just want to, this like program for Ayurveda, right? Shri SHRI, right? Under this scheme also number of projects will open, right? You can see 1st March 2024 and 31st March 2024, because financial year we are counting from 1st April to 31st of March of the next year. So this is the all schedule would be entered at 31st March of 2024. And under in any scheme you can submit Nidhi Inclusive Technology Business Incubator Programs, and under the ITBI. So third week of May and second week of June, that would be that is second week of this particular is that would be closing. And you can see Nidhi Seed Support first week of July and fourth week of July, that would be entrepreneurship training programming. So that is the first week of May and fourth week May, right? That is already closed. And in this so on, you can see here December, till December, you I think January, December, these projects still is open, like Nidhi Accelerator and Prayas, Nidhi Prayas under the scheme, because here is you are going to mention all these schemes under which scheme you are submitting this project. That's the most important, because various schemes time to time these are generally keep on going on. Then they fund for improvement of SC/ST infrastructure. Yes, I was talking about the same theme, fund for improvement of SC/ST infrastructure, because nowadays government is more concerned about this. So you can apply if you can see your area, nearby area. Suppose you are residing in MP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Punjab, or any area of our country. So nearby area that is ignored area or that need attention. So you can target that particular area and you can focus on this and you can submit your project accordingly. Here is Sathi advertisement. You can see it under this particular scheme. Then the so on. February is the last date, right? And support for upgradation, preventive repair and maintenance of equipment, right? Supreme, I could say. So 10th December that will open and 25th January 2024. Why you need this particular schedule? Because otherwise you forget it, because every day you are checking that particular site, you are visiting that site, and at what date this particular scheme will open. So at the time, at the moment, so please get ready with your project and that window will open and you can submit that project. And what would be the closing date? Before that, kindly submit your project. Nanoscience and nanotechnology. And like right now I am working on one of the biggest project, that is hospital wastewater. Though I am a management person, I'm a data analytics person, because that is with the one biggest hospital I am working with this particular project. And this those people are from biotechnology background, those people are from microbiology background and biochemistry background, and these people are associated with this project. And all the, I mean, why I am giving this example, because don't think because we people are the management people or the social science, we cannot work on such projects. So you can work on these kind of projects easily in association, because science people, biotechnology, nanotechnology, or biochemistry people, they have very good lab setups over there, and these people, they have to work on such kind of testing and all. And I am being a data analyst, and I will work on data analysis part, and or as well as towards the management part. So in that way, in collaboration, you can submit such kind of projects. And here is, you can see, these are the, yes, these are the till 17 points. You can see these were the deadlines. But here is, some are like when the recruitment rolling ads, you can see on the various university, on the various IITs, IMMs, there's the rolling ads. I mean, throughout the year, you can submit your CV at any moment, any time. So same is here. Throughout the year, these kind of schemes are open. So throughout the year, you can, like Vidushi, I will show you, that is the research proposal of Vidushi, and that is main focus towards the women's instinct for develop and ushering in scientific heights and innovations. So government is spending a lot of money on women development. They can become entrepreneur, and women should come forward and they have to get the funding from government. So this is specifically for only for the Vidushi under this scheme, that is only for women. And wise internship, intellectual property rights, consolidation of the university research for innovation and excellence, Women International Grant Support, WINGS. Yes, of course. Those are women, they can submit their project under these schemes. WINGS, under this Vidushi, easily you can submit, and Gati. Yes, and gender advancement for transforming institution. Under this also you can submit your projects. I mean, why I'm saying all these things, because sometimes you people think about on which particular area we should target, we should focus. So it depends on your interest area where you would like to work. Government have lot of opportunity had given to the organizations, to the university. You can submit your project. I'm telling you, this is truth. I have met to number of chairpersons. Those are running these committees at DST. Those are running at the funding agency. They honestly, they told me, you know, हमारे पास we have lot of fund, but people are not applying such kind of projects, और वो fund waste हो जाता है. I mean, government तो अपना initiative ले रही है, government they are doing funding, but people are not ready to take it. People, they do not have time, they do not have ideas, they are not submitting these projects, and ultimately at the end of the financial year, this fund is reverted back to the government. These are the waste of fund. You are not utilizing that fund. I mean, 600 crore fund is available for that particular DST in under one particular specific scheme. But even people, they are not applying under that particular scheme. So that is why fund is unutilized, fund is put it there. So I'm sure government is giving a lot of support. You have to take initiative and you people start working on it and promote such kind of research. Then I'm coming to, this is the, you can see, this is the DST. Ministry of Science and Technology, DST, call for project proposal under Technology Development Program, TDP. Technology Development Program. TDP stands for Technology Development Program. This is the nowadays, that is when you have to visit this particular site, right? This site is here, dst.gov.in. You can go there on this site. You can you can find out n number of the programs are running. So under this is the one program called for project proposal under Technology Development Program, that is TDP. And under this program, you can, this is the Department of Science and Technology plays, here is, that is the entire introduction is here. And after that, you can see new call for proposal is planned to invite proposal from scientists and engineers, technologists working in academic institutions, R&D institutions, laboratories, and having adequate infrastructure facilities to carry out technology development work and prototype. You can see here DST invites R&D proposals in the following areas. You can see AMT, Advanced Manufacturing Technologies, Waste Management Technology. I was talking about this project, Waste Management Technology. See, nowadays government is looking those kind of projects. Those are more focused to solid waste management, right? To cleaning the water and all, right? All these things, they are busy. Hello, sir. Good morning. I am taking session. मैं session के बाद फिर आपसे मिलती हूँ 11:30. Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So waste management technologies, and his government is solid waste management. I think everybody have seen when we are going to Delhi, एक ऊंचा सा पहाड़ है जिसमें कचरा ही कचरा है, कूड़ा ही कूड़ा है, and government is looking for this, how we can manage these kind of solid waste management. They are looking and they are doing a lot of funding. And people, they said, like plastic se aapne, you had constructed road. Those are the plastic thalis and plastic other waste products. So you had given this kind of solution, then we can prepare that these kind of roads. And as well as same thing is like in the we can see river water, and we can see some places where is the industrial waste is coming. And industrial waste we can see, because in our Dehradun, I am from Dehradun, and this is the one area, Salako industrial area. And in this Salako industrial area, when we have to see, these are the reverses going on. There's the, when we have collected sample from that particular river, phenol content was very, very high. So government, they want how we can clean it, how we can stop it, and those are the phenol content is already available in this river. So how we can control it, how we can, what remedy we can apply so we can control it, and that phenol content should be go down. So I hope you understand how the waste management is nowadays a biggest problem. Air pollution. I had discussed about solid waste management. I talked about this river and water waste management, water management, waste management, and we can talk about this one is the air pollution management. Government is asking you, please come forward those solutions and contribute to the society, because number of the cases are nowadays reported in various hospitals, cancer causing disease. These are nothing. These are just because of we people are using these kind of waters where is the contamination is very high, and in this water lot of metals are available, and these metals we are consuming, and people, you know, those are the farmers, they are just washing their vegetables in this water, in this river water. And what happened through this water, because there is in this particular river, this the particular here is n number of the industrial waste are people are living in this particular river, and ultimately what happened, these metals are absorbed by these vegetables, and these vegetables are contaminated, and finally they are reaching to your home, and you people are cooking, and after that you are consuming, and you are consuming all these metals inside your body, and these metals are causing cancer. So, I mean, that is the very pathetic situation, and it's very, I could say, people, they should think about of the society, what we are doing, and we are increasing these cancer cases day by day, and people are dying just because of this. So, I'm sure we should work on towards the development or welfare of the society rather than spoiling this kind of society. So here is biomedical device and technology development, BD, TD, technology development, TDP. I was talking about this TDP, and this research proposal is under this TDP. Therapeutic chemicals and all. Eligibility criteria, easily, please download these eligibility criteria. What is the, who can apply and who cannot apply, like I am discussing eligibility criteria of ICSSR. ICSSR, you need 12B. Right, those universities, they do not have 12B. 12B, they do not have, they have not applied, or they are not having these kind of certificate of 12B. They cannot get the funding. You can apply there, but they would not consider, ICSSR will not consider, because you do not have 12B. This one is the approval, and finally they would reject your project. They would not consider it. And this is the project proposal will be reviewed only if the PI has completed proof of the concept and all these things. You can see these all are the directions. Point to be kept in mind while submitting project proposal. I think you must take care that no support is provided toward the basic infrastructure building and the international travel. Right. So they have already given clear guidelines. Suppose you are thinking, I have to visit to USA, I have to visit to Thailand, I have to visit to UAE. So please drop it if suppose you are planning to visit, but they are not giving you any support for the international travel. And suppose you are planning to, you are reporting in the budget, okay fine, I will report it here. This one is the building I have to construct. So I'm sorry to say they are not going to giving you this opportunity. Infrastructure you cannot develop. You must have existing infrastructure. You must have existing buildings, and international travel. If you would like to do it, you have to do your own, rather than you are dependent on only these funding. So they are not providing any such kind of funding. Local funding, of course, they are providing you. And here is, you can see, fund supports under non-recurring grant for the required equipment will be given only if the same or similar facility is not available in the PI's institution or nearby institution. I mean, suppose you are asking for one particular machine, whereas you would like to test some important test you would like to do. So if this machine is available in your institution, they will not provide you any funding for that particular machine, or in the nearby vicinity, I could say in the nearby area, if this particular thing is available. So this would not be, they are not going to provide you, right? And as well as I could say quarterly deliberations. Yes, of course. Recently, I had given one of my presentation to UCOST. That was this project I have got last year, and now because this project is for my project is for 2 years, and every year, suppose you had submitted this project for the 3 years, they are going to review your project, whatever you have said, whatever you had submitted. And for the 5 years, for the 3 years, in the first year, whatever the Gantt chart, I will show you, this is the one Gantt chart on the basis of which you are just following that particular project, and that will like in the first year, if you had committed, I will complete this part, so whether you had completed or not. In the second year, you have done this part, whether you had completed or not. So review presentations, that will be time to time they have to organize. So we had given presentation last 15 days back only to UCOST, Uttarakhand Science and Technology, right? So here is, we had Uttarakhand Council of Science and Technology, UCOST. So we had given this presentation, and we had given them last 1 year, because we have got this project last year. In 1 year, what we have done, right? Whether we had appointed JRF, right, Junior Research Fellow. Yes, we had, and we are providing this particular person monthly. This one is the remuneration stipend, whether we are giving or not. So everything they have checked, and what is up to what level we have achieved our objectives. Maximum 2 COEs will be established under each thrust area and all. So please, this is the contact person, Dr. Akhilesh Mishra, Scientist E, and you can contact him, and you can write him a mail, and accordingly, whatever is your doubts and all these things, Dr. Krishna Kant and Shri Pramod, and especially this particular scheme, these people are responsible. And last date, you can see here, time of submission 30th June till 5 o'clock. So you can submit under this scheme also projects, and I'm sure you understand. And let me share with there is the, I'm just going to share, this is the, yes, I was talking about this particular project. So let me share this Uttarakhand Science and Technology project. You can see general information we had put it, and for the 2 years I was talking about the same project, and that is under the this one is the PI and co-PI and all these things. This is our project summary, and part 2 is very emphasized towards the particulars of the investigators. So these are the particulars on whosoever is the PI and all these things, we people are there. And technical details of the project, here is you need to write all these very clearly. You have to write, and you know, when the presentation you are giving, because at the time of approval you have to give a very insightful presentation, and those are the panel members, around sometimes 7 panel members are sitting, those are the expert of their area. So you have to justify each and everything, all the objectives. Let's say I am having 3 objectives, so I have to justify these objectives in front of these panel members. If they will raise some queries, so you have to give them satisfactory answer. If you would not able to give satisfactory answer, of course you will not get it, these project, that project will not be approved. And international status also, I mean, in this particular area, what is the international status, I mean, across the country, national status kya hai, importance of the proposed project in the context of the current area, current status, and anticipated products आप इससे क्या manufacture कर सकते हैं, right? In our Uttarakhand is well known for medicinal plants, And Himalaya range is full of and rich with these kind of medicinal plants. So suppose these kind of medicinal plants, if you're working on such kind of projects, so what you can do, these particular medicinal plants, how they would be helpful, and how this medicinal plant will provide further some contribution or some benefit to the society. So in that way, you can mention over here, and how this proposal is beneficial to the state, as I had mentioned, how this, because state is doing funding, because UPS is a state agency, state government body, and they are providing this much of funding. So obviously they would expect what would be, how come this particular project would be beneficial to the state. That is why we are giving you funding, otherwise we are not giving you funding, because the funding is restricted to the Uttarakhand. Then methodology, here would be a work plan. We have written proper work plan, and here is, we can see suggested plan of action. What could be suggested plan of action? I was talking about this when we had given presentation. So what we had covered till now and what is left out, that is supposed to cover in the coming year or in the coming next year, because our project is the 2 years project. So you can see expected start and everything you would mention over here, right? And here is the budget. Budget, yes. I was talking about the budget. I will show you one budget, one Anganwadi project also budget I had prepared. I had already submitted this Anganwadi project. And Anganwadi, you know, ICSSR, not ICR. So there is the n number of the projects people are demanding. So you can see here, this is the sensors controller, that is the cost, alarm you required, replicant, and recurring manpower you required, GRF, that would be costing 2,16,000, that would be GRF salary, right? And there would be consumables, those are the miscellaneous. Consumable means we are talking about your stationery you required, rim required, printer cartridge is required, and other miscellaneous means anything could be, that is you had not reported here, but you at all of a sudden, or you feel, I mean, this thing is required, so you have to take funding from this particular head. And here is the total and all these things, and this is the total and all, and existing facilities, yes. So you have to mention what existing facilities you have to mention here. And here is, you can see necessary provision, each and everything you have to mention there. You can see performer of the biodata. Performer, yes, they require performer in a one particular type of performer. Under this only you have to mention all your detail, like name, designation, your institute, university, date of birth, right, SCST, or your status, each and everything you have to mention, and signature of the investigators. And this performer is required not only from PI, that is required by co-PI also, right? So all these things are required. So let me just show you, and one more, this is the particular I have shown you, and right, and I'm just showing you sample form. Yes, sample form already I have discussed with you, and this part is already clear. Now I just want to show you. You can see here, this is my one of the IT, this one is the one of the type of the concept note. This is this project. This project is, I had already submitted, its approved project from IIT Roorkee. And IIT Roorkee, that is a 3-year project, and IIT Roorkee is our co-partner in this project, and one mentor is from IIT Roorkee, and one co-PI, I'm PI in this project, and PI and co-PI is from our university. So you can say community-based intervention of skill development, livelihood creation. This is the proposal we had submitted, right? And these are all our objectives. So such kind of objectives, like I was talking about village livelihood committee, right? I was talking about getting skilled and implement the models and further make them operational. And in that way, I had prepared this. So here is intervention plan. You can see week 1 to 12. This is the for the 1 year. For 1 year, you can see I was talking about 1 year is selected block or oblique taluka, right? Those are the talukas or blocks in each and every districts are there. So 50 GPs. GP stands for Gram Panchayat. We have taken Gram Panchayat wise study. So 50 GPs we are going to study, and we had one proper plan how we are going to cover up week 8 to 24, right? Week 20 to 32, week 20 to 30. You can see in that way we have worked on. And finally, you can see initially a pilot can be carried out at block level with approximately 50 GPs. And core team may comprise of 8 to 10 members for pilot study. 3 to 4 volunteers, community facilitators shall be involved in each GP level to ensure, and 52 GPs 1 year is sufficient for implementing an impact evaluation. Cost can be kept around 1 lakh per GP. So 1 lakh per GP, if we are working on 52 let's say 50 GPs, so 1 lakh multiplied by 50, that means this project is 50 lakh project, 50 lakh rupees project. And under this project, what we have done, team can be further divided into given 12 to 15 GPs, and we have also discussed the plan with official with Center for Public Policy, right? And this was the, because I am Bangalore also, this is the one of the tie-up. So we people have worked, and here is, you can see we had incorporated our research scholars, and I'm sorry, I am audible.
You're audible, ma'am.
Yes.
Shweta, can you check if the audience mics are off?
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Shweta, can you
Checking.
please check?
Right. Right.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I think,
Checking. Checking, ma'am.
Yeah, can you please mute everybody? Thank you.
right. So ultimately what would happen, there is the one facility, we have signed an MOU in between IIT Roorkee and Graphic Era University. And this MOU, here is faculty, they can go there for the 6 months to IIT Roorkee. They have spent time, they can use their resources, and they can work on that particular project. Our research scholars also, they have to go there. Those are associated with this project, they can go there, and they can reside in the IIT Roorkee, and they will provide hostel and each and every facility. And these research scholars will use their those are the resources, whatever the databases, computer system, labs, whatever, they can use it, and after that they will get this stipend also. But at that particular time period, Graphic Era University, they are not going to give them stipend. They will stop their stipend from Graphic Era. They are getting a stipend from the IT Roorkee. So if suppose they are staying for 3 months, our research scholar, they are working on that particular project, they will get this stipend from IIT Roorkee. They are going to using all the resources, and as well as they will stay there, and hospital facilities and everything they are getting. So this is the MOU in between these two universities. So such kind of projects also you can look into it. And let me this one is the TDP called scheduled sample form, and this is the one of my project, you can say, right. This is the last only this project I just want to share with you. You can see this is also one of the, this is the, you can see this is the Raji tribe. Raji tribe is the, that is the that required a lot attention, because कुछ time में ये यहाँ से लोग कम होना start हो गए हैं, and they are not getting any livelihood and all. So we have this is the project, and we are going to, we had already, because submitted this project, and these are my objectives related to this particular project, because we are working on biodiversity, we are working on the, this the livelihood and all, so, and their health status also, and their sustainable ecological resources, whether these are available or not. So we people are working on this, again the same the same way, national and international status, methodology, what we are going to, what would be our study area and how we are going to find them, what would be the, and we will work on health and hygiene also. You can see most of these studies focus up. Now here is, you have to write why this particular project is different from others. So this one is the Raji tribal community on which we people are working. So we are, because we have to work on check their knowledge about health and hygiene, whether they are aware of this thing, what kind of problems they are facing, and health and hygiene, whether they are aware. If they are not aware, so we have to conduct workshop over there and we have to train them, right? And they have to, and I was talking about the Gantt chart, and this is the, you can see months activity 1 to 12, 13 to 24, 25 to 36. That is the 3 years program. So you can see what we have to finish in which particular time frame, and accordingly significance of the expected outcome with respect to the state of the art in the field. You can see, and this is the project. This one is the our data, and all the biograph. I mean, this one is the our CV. That would be, we are going to attach, and how many projects we had already completed, list of project that is implemented. You can see total approved cost of the project. You can see this one is the from the UCall. These much of the projects already, these are completed projects, and workshop facility, yes we have, power generator we have, AC room, AC and all these things we have. Research fellow को हम कितना पे करेंगे, you can see financial requirement, first year में हम कितना पे करेंगे, second year में, third year में, total how much we are, consumables पे how much amount we are going to spend, and what could be our travel grant, that would also be, we have to mention here. Contingency also we would mention, equipment, generic name, overhead charges and other costs. So in that way, there is the justification for the budgetary requirement item wise based on the scientific needs of the project. Kya need hai iska? What is the need of the scientific need of that particular project? See, the mentioned fellowship under the head of the women scientists, you can see, and annual stipend considering the amount of fellowship is 30,000 per month, and justification of the consumables we have to give, because justification of the fellowship, why we are giving for 36 months and kitna amount denge, 30,000 per month we are paying for the up to 3 years. Same with the justification of the consumables, here is you have to give, and justification of the travel, and the justification of the contingency, justification for institute overhead, justification for the minor equipments, those you require, right? Like for example, you want to purchase camera. That is the minor equipment. Camera, why do you need camera? Because you are visiting these villages, and in these villages you have to click some photograph of these villagers when they are working on the livelihood, the workshop is going on, or what kind of livelihood right now these people are having. So you have to click these photographs. So, and obviously you would report all these pictures, all these are geotagging photographs. That's the most important. Geotagging photograph means that is telling you at what time you had clicked that photograph, or at what place you are, what is the this one is the all the dimensions that would mention over there on that particular photograph. So geotag photograph is important, because otherwise what would happen, might be possible you have taken this funding, you have not visited that place, and you are clicking this the Farjiwada and all these things, you are clicking these photographs and you are pasting these photographs in the projects. So they would not believe on these photographs, because they are worried about, they are very particular, they are very concerned whether this the, with honesty you people are running this project. So in that way you can finish all these kinds of projects. So I think that's all from my side, and if you have any query, please ask me.
Thank you, Professor Gupta. I think it was a very elaborate presentation. And first of all, I need to thank you that you had accepted our invite at a very short notice. We are very grateful for that, because this FDP was primarily kept for people who would learn research projects. And we did not want any session to go by where people do not learn and receive things from learned people like you or the others who we have already shipped. So we are very, very grateful to you for coming here and speaking to all the participants and giving such a insightful idea like how different projects are to be carried out, what are their guidelines, right from ICSSR, which is a social science project. You went on to detailing about a DST project, from a short project to a large project, and what the projects are there. Also, you briefed them clearly as to what the applications would require from your experience, and where you need not be disheartened even if you don't have a project, but continue to go on making your study more fruitful and more contributory both to the area and to the purpose of what the research funding is doing. So I think a lot of takeaways from each and every sentence that you said, and a lot of lessons to be learned from you. So we would like to collaborate further with you, and thank you once again for, on a very short notice, coming and speaking. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much giving this opportunity. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
So on behalf of Research Cell BVIMR, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Professor Anshulekha Gupta ji for her very enlightened session in 360-degree evaluation of how to make project right from DST and DBT and biotechnology and the social development. Thank you so much. Thanks to the participants, the organizers and team of members, Director Ma'am, for their valuable contribution today. We look forward to see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, publish कर दिया chat नहीं chat पे कर दिया IoT में मैं कर देती हूँ हाँ अच्छा कर हेलो हेलो am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, I have published the link for Tuesdays and Wednesdays FDP session on the chat box. Kindly, you can go through it and you can join us on Tuesday and Wednesday through this link only. हाँ मैम मैं कर देती हूँ. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Now you can leave the meeting as our esteemed guest and director, ma'am, has left. तो मैं कर दूंगी मैम. I do that. वो आज उसमें कभी कर देती हूँ. मैम यहाँ से लीव कर देते हैं. हाँ वो मैं मैम वो मैं भी कर देती हूँ. कैसे पता चलेगा इनको मिल गया? वो मैंने थैंक यू लिख दिया. Very good, nice.